Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1992 comedy, crime, thriller film, Sneakers, starring Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, Dan Aykroyd, Ben Kingsley, River Phoenix, the list goes on and on. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics. You can go ahead and follow me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us a big thumbs up. You can also follow us on our YouTube page, Kevin D, that's me. Hit the subscribe button, it's totally free. And you can follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. Don't forget to spread the word, won't you? Sneakers. In this movie, in the late 60s, a couple of student activists had figured out a way to basically hack into personal banking accounts of particular prominent members of society, and they've been able to take their money and donate it to certain causes that they felt were important, like taking money from Richard Nixon, giving it to Greenpeace, things like that. Unfortunately, they were sniffed out. They were caught by the FBI or the NSA or whoever it was at the time. Unfortunately, or fortunately, one of them escaped. So Marty escaped while his friend Cosmo was captured by the cops and disappeared. Cut to present day, the early 90s. Marty's an older guy now. He owns his own security company, but here's the hook. He's under an assumed name because he's been on the run ever since the 60s. They've been trying to find him. What he does in this new company, he's assembled a gang of misfits, and what they do is essentially test company security by trying to break in. Companies pay them to try to break in and get past their security. So basically what happens is after they establish what's going on, they also talk about how Cosmo was sent to prison, and while he was there, he died under kind of mysterious circumstances. So two NSA agents show up, and they talk to Marty, and they say, look, there's this black box we want you to steal for us. This black box is a decoding device, which will allow us to break into hack into any system in the United States. And it's very important, we get it, not the bad guys, blah, blah, blah. If you do this, we'll give you a load of money. However, if you don't do this, we know who you really are, and we'll expose you, and you'll be arrested, and you'll spend all the time in prison, blah, blah, blah. So he talks to his ragtag team, and they agree to steal this black box. So they figure it out where the black box is. They come up with a scheme to get in there. They steal the black box. And as they're about to make the handoff with the NSA agents, in the newspaper they determine the mathematician who invented the black box has been murdered. Okay? So now they're all suspicious. They decide we probably shouldn't just hand this over to these guys claiming to be NSA agents. They actually go back and look at the office where he meets them, the NSA office, and it turns out it was never an NSA office. So these guys are not who they claim to be. So now they've got the black box, and they basically know that there's not a government on Earth that won't kill them all to get this black box. That's how important it is. It can crack any code, hack into any system. So it's serious business. Okay, we're not playing around here. Then, up out of the blue, Marty gets kidnapped by the guys who claim to be NSA agents. You find out they're working for, spoiler alert, organized crime. And specifically, they're working for Cosmo, who did not die in prison. In fact, in order to survive in prison, he started working with these mobster types, and he became like their chief financial officer, their technical wizard, whatever he is. He knows everything about computers and blah, blah, blah. So he works for them. He knows about the black box, and it was him who had his pseudo NSA agents go in there and approach Marty to get the black box. So, kidnap him, get the black box from him, and basically the evil Cosmo now, who's now bitter and angry because he was arrested, spent all that time in prison where Marty escaped. He puts Marty's his alias on his file, so now presumably all authorities know where Marty's been for all these years and how to get him now. So, there you go. So, but now their feeling is, Marty and his friends decide if we need to steal the black box back, maybe we can give it back to the real NSA and broker a deal so I don't go to prison, that sort of thing. I don't want to spoil everything. There's a lot of intrigue. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of surprises, if you will. Sneakers is an excellent movie, in my opinion. It is excellent. What can I tell you about it? The script had been kind of pushed around since the early to mid 80s, where the writers of it were working on war games, and they got the idea for it about that time. Because if you see the movie, there's a lot of references to kind of 70s, spy thrillers like 3 Days of the Condor, things like that, which also, ironically, has Robert Redford in it. Essentially, they got Robert Redford attached to this movie, and that became the big hook to get all these other actors involved. In fact, even the director, Phil Alden Robinson, who previously had directed Field of Dreams, he actually had no interest in directing this movie until he found out Robert Redford was involved. He'd always wanted to work with him, so he agreed to direct it. Some actors just didn't like the title, Sneakers. It sounds kind of goofy. But, when pushed by their agents to read the script, then they go, okay, this is something I want to be a part of. There really isn't a lot of violence in this movie. In fact, they were very concerned that it would get a G rating, that they intentionally added profanity to it to make it more of an adult kind of movie, but even then, it really doesn't have that much. It's supposed to be like kind of a political thriller, spy kind of thing, but it also has a lot of comedy. It's a great cast. Like I said, Robert Redford plays Marty. You've got Sidney Poitier, who plays one of his compatriots in his little group, Donald. Dan Aykroyd is in it. He plays another guy. River Phoenix plays. These are all guys in his team, if you will. Cosmo is played by Ben Kingsley. It's an all-star cast. What can I tell you? Other things about this movie, which I found kind of interesting. Like I said, there are little references to 3 Days of the Condor. In fact, there's the jacket that Robert Redford's wearing in it, kind of like a Letterman jacket, is actually the same jacket he wore in The Natural. Hey, the Carmen Ghia that he's driving around the streets of San Francisco is the same Carmen Ghia driven by Mike Myers in So I Married an Axe Murderer. See, it all ties together. Okay? Evidently, some of the principles behind the little black box are based upon real things. A lot of the characters are based upon real people who've been involved in like computer hacking and things like that, which it's all very interesting. This movie was actually a hit in the box office. It did very, very well. Great cast. The script is strong. I know the reviews kind of didn't always match the success. Some people thought it was very good. Other people thought, well, Robert Redford and Sidney Poitier are too old to be playing these roles. It's kind of wacky, but a lot of the characters are kind of thin characters, and they aren't really given much to do. And I say, poppycock. This movie is great. It's an underrated movie. A lot of people haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It currently has 81% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So there you have it. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it if you have not. Again, I recommend it. It's good for the whole family, okay? It's got intrigue, it's got comedy, a little bit of action. You don't know what's going to happen next. A lot of bait and switches. So check it out. I highly recommend it. Next week, I'm going to be leaving the thriller comedy genre to the straight horror genre. Candyman, currently streaming instantly on Netflix. So rush out, see it. Let me know any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, anything else you want to tell me about this movie, questions, comments, and I may just talk about it on the show. As always, you can also send any movie suggestions. You can reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. You can also go to our page on YouTube, and you can follow me on Twitter at The B Movie Club. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. We have never been to Europe together, and we are going. Not the most memorable line in the world, but whenever I hear a line delivered in a bizarre manner, I've got to say that was Sidney Poitier delivering an innocuous line in a really weird way. He joins the Jeff Goldblum, Al Pacino All-Stars in the weird line delivery. So there you have it. Next week, Candyman. Thank you for joining us, and be well.